Gbogbou Khena, a dynamic youth activist, creative thinker, and a volunteer at the Youth Crime Prevention Desk. He brings with him a powerful concept, social revolution, a call for young people to stop spectating and start shaping the future. This conversation is a wake-up call for every young person who has ever doubted their impact. Because if not us, then who? Right? So welcome to Movers and Shakers Vooka Nation, where we will be kicking off the week by spotlighting the bold voices that are changing the game. And of course, today's guest, as I mentioned, is not more than just a thinker, he's a doer. Dolphin Gbogbou Khena is a passionate youth activist and volunteer at the Youth Crime Prevention Desk with a creative edge and a fearless mind. He's here to introduce a powerful idea, social revolution, a movement that calls on the youth to rise, act, and lead. So if you've been feeling disconnected and frustrated with politics or change, or unsure of where you fit in on the food chain, today's conversation is your fuel. Let's meet the revolution. Welcome to the Vooka Breakfast Show, Dolphin.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm excited.
I'm glad you're excited because I want you to, as we dive in, let's start with the heart of this conversation, right? What exactly do you mean when you say social revolution?
Social revolution is actually a breakdown of two words, the revolution and evolution of our societies. So we are asking ourselves what we can do for the issues that are plaguing our societies and the need for change to happen. And when we speak about change, we're actually speaking about the evolution of our societies. And for the evolution to take place, what needs to happen is a revolution, socially speaking. And that is in, the most blank statement of what the revolution stands for. Right. I think the importance of the revolution, as well as why it came about, is something that is more magnificent. Actually, the solutions are always far more simpler than the reasons why as to why they need to come about. We all have the vision, we all have the end goal in mind that this is what needs to happen for our societies, this is what needs to happen for our people. But more often than not, these things don't happen. And why is that the case? And that's where the social revolution actually comes in, by filling in and bridging in that gap to actually ensure that this is what happens, and the necessary components to actually ensure that this happens, and in advocacy and activism.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite important to see more and more youth getting involved, and I mean, actively involved in, politics and in shaping, our country. So I love the term that you've coined, social revolution. And in a time where now we're in 2025, as opposed to, we just went through Youth Month and Youth Day. And during that month, a significant event happened right here in Soweto, which was the Soweto Uprising. So how do you think, and yep. I've seen how, the mindset has shifted and the focus has shifted within the youth. So why do you think so many young people are passive about politics, and how do we, and how can you shift that mindset?
Well, I'll tell you this, our nation is in a PTSD. Huh. Yeah. This is something that I actually found out when you look at our history. There's a term or a saying that says, looking at our history is like sitting on a cat.
Ooh.
And it's because of how painful our history is. And what has then happened is we have had a shift over generations that has caused the outlook or the perception on our history to change from generation to generation. And we come across terms like social decay. So this is now the breakdown or the deteriorating element of our societies from generation to generation, meaning that from our history, it's been going downhill. Like, we have been going down socially. Do not look at technological advancements and think that we're improving. Some things are improving, but socially we are not, especially in our societies in Africa. And so this is something that is a very, very necessary component. When we talk about evolution, there is a way that comes about, even biologically. So, if you've read Eckhart Tolle, they speak about he speaks about how evolution happens, as a result of a radical change. So a radical crisis, or when your survival is threatened, that then enables an organism or an individual to make one of three decisions, but to undergo a transformation of some sort, which is either go extinct or become endangered or make an evolutionary leap.
Yeah.
So that is the choice that we are faced with all the time, unknowingly.
Yeah.
And it has been seen time and time again that people have chosen to go extinct because of the subliminal element of the crisis. It is something that is so subtle that it enables one to not react to the crisis.
Yeah.
And then what then happens is you go extinct, right? So what you need to do is you need a proactive approach. That is what enables the evolution.
Yeah.
Now, there's a reason why this hasn't happened, and it's because of something I call low pressure.
Yeah.
So I will make an example just to simplify this concept, I guess, this idea.
Yes.
So it is low pressure, and you have, for example, the water crisis that we faced recently.
Yes.
It was this year, I believe.
Yes.
Earlier this year.
Still ongoing.
Still ongoing in some parts, which is actually a problem. But if we actually take these problems and attribute them to our evolution, we begin to see things that are not dissimilar, and these can help our modes of thinking in how to shape ourselves and our evolution. So let's go back to low pressure. Low pressure, you have the water crisis. There was low pressure coming out of taps. If this
Coming out of tap.
Yeah, if this was affecting your area, so you would remember that there was low pressure coming out of taps, meaning there was water coming out of your tap, but the water was like trickling out. Now, this caused some people to actually believe that there was no problem for a very long time, because you have water, and but it's just less water. So I don't need to do anything about it. It's like, okay, maybe like there'll be water, and it took some people months to react. When there's an issue, I've heard a saying that says you need to when you look at your physiology, when there's an issue in your body, like your skin will react. There'll be a flare up. Your body will tell you that we have a problem right now. And that's what needs to happen in societies, because in societies you also have what is referred to as a system, just like your biology, just like your physiology is a system. And there are components in this system that have different functions, and some of these functions have a way to respond to issues. Now, the same thing needs to happen in our society in the form of activism, because how is it that no one reacted when there was a water crisis? We're talking about basic human rights. It doesn't sound like something that is, something to actually make a big deal over, right? Low pressure. That is the low pressure. That's the low pressure thinking. You have to be very very strong about these issues to recognize that it is a problem, to not sit by and let it be a problem, because that's how social decay happens. It's a slide, and it's one, when you choose to do nothing, that's a decision that you've made. And over time that, causes further problems. So that's what low pressure means. It means that there's something that is an issue, but it's not really affecting me in a way that I need to, and this is a mode of thinking that I'm using here, in a way that I need to react to it and do something about, which then causes further problems. And then when the big problems are here, we're like, oh my word, we have big problems, but you had small problems at one point. You understand?
And you just allowed them to get bigger.
Yes.
grow.
So our evolution has to be in the same way. We don't need to have our back against the wall to start doing something about what's happening. And if you actually need for your back to be against the wall, because some people need to have their survival threatened in order to actually evolve. So if you actually need a reason to actually get up and do something, it is the fact that every small issue that you let slide then become snowballs. Actually, the snowball effect is true even in our society.
Yes, that's
our
quite
societies,
right.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that youth are getting more and more vocal about these kinds of issues and what they, essentially how their communities are being shaped and, the activism that is actually happening. So I know that, activism can come in many ways. We've had people here on the show who have used art as a form of activism, right? So what role does create, but then you've called yourself a creative thinker.
Yes, ma'am.
So what role does creativity and creative thinking play in activism and actually inspiring this change from that small act, that will later obviously have that big impact?
That's a wonderful question, because creativity then comes back to our free will as humanity. So I guess as the generations have gone by, we've had the privilege of freedom. So in the olden days, there had to be a specific way that people fought back against the system, a specific way that people fought for their freedom. And well, even then, human beings had free will.
Yes.
And there were ways that they did that, creatively so. Now, I'll tell you this, creative thinking goes beyond creative output. Creative thinking goes into you can have creative ways to solve problems. So creativity is actually an element of our being as human beings that we've been blessed with, that can enable us to change the world. So that's how powerful creativity is. It goes beyond creative output. Like art, like music, like
true.
film.
It's a way of thinking.
It's a way of thinking, 1000%.
Yeah. Man, I'm listening to this conversation and now speaking about all of the societal injustices that are taking place in our communities. One would argue that yes, it is indeed that some of those problems do take place, and we are seeing a lot of social injustices that require inquiries and investigation also. Because I remember when we were at the AIDS Healthcare Foundation breakfast, last week Friday, Ibanomonde, mentioned that young people are still facing the lack of trust, from the leadership, so that's how you see in terms of the systems that are being put in to say, okay, these systems have been created, but the people who are creating, as much as you are saying that we are a generation that is, our country is experiencing PTSD, right? So these are the people who are like, guys, how much we fought for, and we can't just, let you guys run away with it because you don't understand the struggle that came with bringing these systems, along to help the country. So what do you think, young peoples today are most misunderstood about in the society as a whole?
So what they're most misunderstood about is, if you trace back the lineage, the fact that there's an apathy in our societies, what seems like a carelessness, what seems like people don't care, is the apathy. Young people have a misunderstanding in how they have been taught. how they have evolved.
Yeah.
And they downplay how much the previous generations have had a role in how they have been shaped.
Yeah.
So when I spoke about PTSD, if we can go to our parents, because if we start looking at our history, it doesn't take much to come across, apartheid.
Yeah.
And our parents were in apartheid. That's why it is. It's very close to our, very close to our generation.
Yeah.
Because our parents were in it. It's not. I'm not talking about apartheid from 1,000 years ago. I'm talking about like a generation ago,
Yeah.
or two, in some cases. And so the PTSD from our parents, then caused the apathy to trigger in them to not teach correctly, and therefore the generations that followed became disconnected from the significance of our history and our lineage. So now the things that spirit will do what it does, and people will grow in some ways. Definitely, the generations will become better than us. Currently, the Gen Zs are better than the previous generation in terms of technological advancement. They are better in terms of how quickly they grow, how quickly they learn, because of social media, because of the internet, because they're also awesome, right? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gen Z's are awesome. There's just something that they're lacking. Which is the spiritual element that comes with who we are. And once that part is reconnected to who they are, that's when we'll have revolution. That's where we'll have such a boom in how things are progressing because of how they have adapted. So some people, became more intellectually inclined, had to know what was going on in the world. They have to know what's going on in the metaverse. They have to know what's going on social media. But it's what they're pushing on social media that actually, is, the loose screw, the type of content that they're making, and once that tightens up, you'll have more modes to explore our spirituality in. I'll give you an example here. What I'm talking about is, let's look at AI.
Okay.
AI can be used in many, many different ways, but you have an AI that can deliver African ideologies. So that's where we're talking about the advancement of humanity meets the spiritual element. You see what I'm saying? So how they have adapted, the Gen Zs, if that connects to our spirituality, that then makes that all that more powerful, because now what then happens is the revolution now exists on another level. And it already does. It already exists, metaphysically. We just need more active we need a more active approach. We need active citizenship. We need activism. We need people to be activated, in order to actually, bring about the revolution.
Very powerful, man. Conversation that we are having right here. And we have some of the comments on YouTube from Kabelo Monareng saying facts, and comes back and say we have chosen ignorance as a nation. Then I can explain, comes through saying, hey, Dolphin, I'm here, my man. Then Pumlani, like he's saying, hitting them with that biology, bro. Right? And Bohosi lastly says, yes, look at fees must fall. How powerful it was. The youth are always game changers. Right? So now if we look into the system, if the system is broken, do you believe in fixing it or completely reinventing it?
Absolutely reinventing. And the reason
so
why,
you don't fix the wheel, you reinvent it.
There's a very important reason as to why reinvention needs to happen. And it's because the system has been fixing itself forever. Yet it's still a problem. the system is kind of like, you know what I mean? It's literally like an abusive boyfriend.
Yo.
Okay, yeah, it is.
Aish.
You know what I mean? You know, except the abusive boyfriend now hits you less. You know, like if he used to hit you every day, he hits you like once a month now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Sure.
it's still a problem. You know, why is he still here? You know,
Why is he still hitting you?
why is he still hitting? You know what I mean? So it's the fact that you know, the initial intention
Yeah.
when it came to how the system was designed was not for liberation.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
True.
Because if you look at capitalism, right? Capitalism is a system we use to this day. The question is why. The question is not why. We know why. There's reasons why people like it.
Yeah.
However, it is inaccurate. Capitalism is inaccurate. And you know, if we go back to your question of reinventing the wheel, a wheel was invented. This wheel is capitalism. Capitalism stems from colonialism, which means that the initial intention in capitalism was not for liberation. It was for oppression. It was you know, so it wasn't designed to liberate you or your people.
Yeah.
So why are you surprised that there's inequality and imbalance in our societies? And then we still use it today, right? And it got better over time. People have gone to war with capitalism. It's a problem. Trust me. You know, so
Yeah, we know your
Marxism-
Che Guevaras, your
Yes.
Gaddafis.
you know,
Yes, they've
Karl
tried.
Marx.
Karl Marx.
You know, I came across Marxism studying the Black Panthers, and it's the fact that you know, you have you know, Karl Marx, who, in my opinion, won against capitalism because capitalism started to negotiate
Yeah.
with Marxism. So you have capitalism now negotiating better wages for workers, for, you know, the working class, who are referred to peasants in you know, feudalistic system.
Yeah.
That is the precursor to capitalism, by the way. Meaning that's where capitalism comes from. It comes from that system of peasants, nobles, and kings. From
Classes.
1000%, which still exists today, just in a more subtle form. Of course, it's more subtle form because the system got better,
Yeah.
but it still exists. That's the problem. So you have the system that kept getting better, kept getting better, yet there were still problems. Now, when we talk about capitalism negotiating with Marxism, we say that you know, capitalism started offering better wages to the working class, the peasants or the proletariats. Then you have capitalism negotiating and saying there will be better working conditions, meaning we will start taking care of the working class, you know, so they don't get diseases while they make us money. And then you have capitalism negotiating. This is still a long time ago, but I want to show you something cool. It's the fact that you know, and then capitalism says the working class will now be able to own shares in the businesses that they are working for, which by the way was previously not allowed. The working class only worked for wages. They were not allowed to own shares in businesses. So today, people are spoiled for choice.
Yeah.
You know, they're able to buy shares everywhere. You know, they're able to own everything. But that wasn't allowed at some point, and that was capitalism.
Yeah.
And you know, how often do you turn on the news and find a strike happening over wages, and then wages get improved? That's the exact same negotiating that capitalism was doing from a long time ago. Same system, just got better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the same system. That's the problem. That's why we need to reinvent the wheel. And here's another reason why we need to reinvent the system. Is because capitalism, by definition, the word to capitalize would mean to take advantage
Yep.
of another.
Yeah.
So when I make money, you are spending money. So I make and you spend, and we wonder why there's imbalance. So when we have that mode of operating, there will forever be an imbalance. And also, other imbalances happen spiritually because people then start to take advantage of each other and things like that.
Yeah.
The wheel that we need to reinvent is one of, before we go into the wheel we need to reinvent, let's talk about intention. The intention of capitalism. And intention is something that is so powerful because, again, if we go back to Eckhart Tolle, he describes something called a new heaven and a new earth. Now, earth is the physical manifestation, the physical realm, and the physical manifestations of a new heaven, which is the metaphysical aspect. So we will, a lot of things are metaphysical, but for now, let's go to the thought realm, because that's where intention comes from thought. So a new heaven would be thought. And now what happens in a new heaven, what happens in heaven, or thought, would then manifest itself physically on earth. And that's what intention, that's how powerful intention is. It means that, what we think is what is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
So now, if we look at what happened as a result of what people thought when they created capitalism, you will see that it actually was not good. To put it plainly, I could try to describe it, but you know how bad it was.
Yeah.
And that's the intention that capitalism had, the intention that was fed into the conception of capitalism. No matter how well you try to polish capitalism, no matter how nicely you try to make it, no matter how much you try to fix it, no matter how much you try to edit it, the intention was wrong. There's no going around that. That's the truth. Truth is absolute.
Yeah.
There's nothing beyond the truth. It is
Yeah.
absolute. So what you need to do when you reinvent the system is you need to now do so with a harmonious intention.
Yeah.
That's the new heaven. And another reason for this is the Lord's Prayer speaks about on earth as it is in heaven, right? So that means that what happened on earth will manifest physically on earth. And now, if you had the chance to reinvent the system, which we do, you would then make it so on earth as it is in heaven. Under God, meaning positively. So, and then it would be so on earth in the realm of thought, agreed upon. Harmony, agreed upon would mean harmony.
Yeah.
And then that intention would manifest physically on earth.
Yeah.
And capitalism, when we talk about capitalism, we say that there are other economic systems that work in the world.
Yeah.
There are other options. This is not to say that we should adopt anyone else's economic system. This is just to tell you that something else does work. So don't be fooled into thinking that capitalism is the only thing that is able to work for our systems. It is that way because it is the most appropriated economic system. Like, they fought for it the most. It spread the most. That's what colonialism does. Colonialism, spread and appropriated its own systems, and it appropriated its own systems and upon the world, so that can work. You can look at that approach and say we can use the exact same approach to create an economic system of our own. One that is going to, and the reason why it hasn't been done is because, in my opinion, of laziness. Because who's gonna do it? Who's gonna, our generation is.
And it's a lot of work because, to start over right now with a new system, it would mean collapsing what already exists, and that would mean going to zero. See how Zimbabwe try.
Beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful that you actually bring that up. Africa, the richest. I mean, I love Africa. Africa is so rich in culture,
and minerals and resources.
I mean, we don't even have to talk about minerals. That's how rich the continent is. So I want to talk about culture, and I want to talk about all these other things. To say that the vastness and the diversity in Africa has offered miraculous solutions.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you talk about Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe did things right. There were things that they did right, and things that we can learn from. So if you look at Zimbabwe as a family member, a family member, and because as Africans we are family. There's no getting around that. Yeah. It is just the division that was forced upon us that enabled us to look at each other differently. But when you learn the truth, you then start to correct the mode of thinking that was taught to you that we are different people, and to start to realize that we are actually one people. Yeah. Literally one people. Some tribes in South Africa stem from other parts of Africa, like West Africa. Yeah. Like, for example, the Zulu nation. Like I identify as Zulu. Yeah. That's how nice. You know what I'm saying? That's how much I believe in lineage. Yeah. And the truth of it. Because even in states like North America, they are like a melting pot of genealogy and lineage. They do this thing where they track their genes to be like,
oh yes, yes,
to be like, so I'm actually
I'm 1/3.
You know what I'm saying?
Cherokee and
you know what I mean?
6th. Yeah.
If we did that, we would find each other in all of us. Yeah. All over Africa. And you don't even need to do that. You can look at our languages to do that. It's Swahili. You find Zulu in Swahili. You find all, like, most languages exist in Swahili. Like our languages exist within one another. Yeah. We didn't even have to go into our biology to know that we are inside one another. Yeah. When it comes to genealogy, that's how much of a one people we are. Now, if you want to expand that even more, you can say that all people on Earth are then connected, because if you trace genealogy back far enough, you would find a common ancestor, meaning that we come from one person. Yeah. We come from one source. Let me not say one person. We come from one source. That's how connected we are. So division is really figment of imagination. If we actually then and that's why I came across something that said you have to do away with things that divide, and foster connectivity, and you will find the truth when you do that.
I love that.
So there was something we spoke about Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And when it comes to Zimbabwe, if we start to look at Africa as neighboring, literally neighboring in terms of family, neighboring nations that are like extended family, you can start to now learn from how they did things. So
Traore.
You know what I mean? Ooh. Ooh.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He is him.
Yes. 1000%. The leader, king, in my opinion. And and not just in terms of social class, but in terms of how he's handling everything. Yeah. We don't have to analyze what he's doing. That's something that's already
been done.
Yeah. But he is a magnificent example, in terms of who we need to become as African people. We need to become the ideologies that were left here on the surface of the earth. Yeah. We need to become that, because they highlighted so many things. Religion works the same way. They left, doctrines and ideologies that are still practiced to this day to foster harmony. But let's go back to Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Because I want to show you something cool.
Okay.
I want to say that that they actually they did something right when they got it wrong.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So what then happens is that they went to zero to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that didn't work. But we're still Africa.
Yeah.
So what that means is that we just found a way not to do it. In the example of one country, one of our countries as Africa, the continent, right? So now how are we gonna do it? How are we gonna reinvent the wheel? Are we gonna go to zero? No, obviously that didn't work for Zimbabwe. So why would we do it? So we have to find another way. That means that we need to go back to intention. We need to go back to heaven to then start at what we are trying to do and then let that manifest onto earth. Manifest onto earth.
Yeah, so the manifest in the policies and obviously
1000%.
in the system and in the government.
1000%.
Okay.
And then if that works, we have found it.
Okay.
Which is awesome because I want us to find it. However, if it doesn't work, then someone else will take it from there. One of our countries. Guess how many we have? 52. You know what I mean? We cannot be stopped. Africa will prosper. Will repair. Will redress. Will be the future.
And
as it already is.
And I love that, you've been speaking policy, you've been talking system, and of course, the one that we currently do. So before we close off, if you could implement one policy or youth-focused reform today, not even tomorrow, today, what would it be and why?
Oh, yeah. Something I would call the Social Improvement Act, which I already have been working on.
Okay.
So the Social Improvement Act is, really what the social revolution is about.
Yeah.
Just manifested in policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And why is because the evolution of our societies that needs to take place is something that has to be sustained. So we have had evolutions take place before. We have had the right intentions. That's why, I can go up to a person and talk about these things and it can sound familiar to them. And they can be like, oh, I've heard that before. Yeah, that's because someone has done it, right?
Yeah.
But it happened and then it stopped happening. Meaning that I picked it up from there and I figured that, okay, so the reason why that we have not been seeing a change is not because people don't know what to do. They know the right answers. Like I said before, the answers are a blank statement. We know exactly what to do. It's the how to do it that is the question. So they've been doing it the right way. We just needed a way to sustain it, to make sure that this changes forever, right? And that's now where the policy comes in, where mandate comes in, and where the Social Improvement Act comes in.
Yes. So what is the Social Improvement Act about? So it in just simple, straightforward terms.
It is about it is about development.
Okay.
Yes, it is about development. The First Lady of Sierra Leone said that in order for there to be development, you have to. So in order for there to be development, you have to, you have to eliminate the issues that are preventing development.
Okay.
So you have to think of development as a structure or a building.
Yeah.
And you're trying to develop a building. But there's an earthquake, right? And this earthquake is now preventing you from building a stable structure because every time you build, it breaks down.
Yeah.
So now what's the problem? The earthquake. So you need to do something about the earthquake. Now when you have stable ground, only then can you start developing. your structure.
Yeah.
So I took development in the same mode of thinking, and figured that when it comes to development, what we need to do is we need to eliminate the issues that we have in our societies in order to then develop the societies that we want to see, that we want to actualize, in the world.
Yeah.
So a way to do that is by eliminating the social issues that we actually are dealing with, because we're speaking about social issues, we're speaking about our societies.
Yeah.
And, you have, socioeconomic issues that are, the main focus of when someone is trying to do something about the country.
Yeah.
When they're trying to help out the country, when they're trying to solve the problems of a nation or of a country, they focus on the socioeconomic issues. Now, socioeconomic issues are not the first level when it comes to the big picture. You have socioeconomic issues at floor one, and then you have social issues at ground floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means that the building blocks of these issues are at social.
Yeah.
So so you need to, and there's a plethora of examples of how social issues affect people, and then also perpetuate socioeconomic and also perpetuate socioeconomic issues, and perpetuate the big problems. There's a whole bunch of already identified social issues, some that I've identified. I found some. Because there are that many issues socially. But now there's a cool way to think about it, which is the fact that they all stem from people. They all stem from people because if we're talking about social, it means these issues are affecting people and affected by people.
Yeah.
Whether knowingly or unknowingly.
Knowingly, true.
Powerful,
So let's end on this, right? Essentially, what does a youth-led future look like to you, and how do we start building it today?
A youth-led future.
Yeah, quite quickly, just let's end on this note. So what does a youth-led future look like to you, and how do we start building it today?
So a youth-led future to me looks like the belief in the youth to be able to actually able to do it. So a Thabo Mbeki element for the youth. Meaning we got this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, we got this. We like, it's in good hands, because Thabo Mbeki got it passed over from Nelson Mandela. And it was like Nelson Mandela fought for everything, and it was like he did it, and got into the presidency, and played his role, tremendously. And then from there on, it got passed to Thabo Mbeki, and it had to be taken care of. To say that you need a stable leadership to say we got it from here, we can take it from here. And that same mode needs to apply to the youth. We need to have so much more belief in the youth, but it's the fact that we have this freedom without responsibility. We were taught about rights and responsibilities in primary school. I remember. I think I remember.
I also remember learning that in primary school.
Literally. I think it was like grade 5. We learned about this, and now the youth has so much freedom, and which is awesome, because you need that. And when we realize that freedom is the blessing bestowed onto the youth in order to then lead, that's when things are going to change. Because now the freedom is used frivolously. It's like, I have freedom, stop talking to me, I'm free, I'm gonna do what I want. You know what I mean? And that's freedom. That's what happens when freedom has no responsibility. Or has little responsibility. What you need to do is you need to have more responsibility, for your freedom, so that you are then able to then have that. So let's go back to what a youth-led future looks like. And
so would that be more youth in parliament? Would that be more youth in leadership positions when it comes to parliament? Is that seeing more, perhaps, generals in the what is it like? What is it to you?
Brilliant.
Yes, lieutenants. Who are leading change, who are taking the struggle forward, or what does it look like?
Thomas Sankara once said something. He said, a soldier without an ideology is a criminal.
A soldier without an ideology is a criminal.
He might have specifically said a political ideology. But it is ideology nonetheless. Which means we now need to reconnect the youth to ideology, to higher power, and that is going to enable the youth to take decisions that are going to be right for the country. So what it looks like is, like you said, youth in leadership.
Yes.
And youth in leadership, youth in all these places, but specifically youth in leadership as well.
So leadership in parliament.
Leadership can happen in any
on any
sphere.
level.
Any level in any sphere. If we're talking about parliament, that's also obviously a part of it. However, I'm not ignorant of the fact that experience does play a tremendous role when it comes to when it comes to when it comes to how to actually run things. Now that is to say that if we actually put youth ahead and then had the experience backing the freedom of the youth, that can work.
Okay.
But now we're conceptualizing. But it can, because if I tell you that no, we have to respect the experience factor of leadership in parliament, that's me saying that things need to stay the same.
Okay.
And I don't want to say that, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we need the youth there. However, we need the youth connected to lineage, so that when it's their time to do it, they can do it right, just like Ibrahim Traore. Because when Ibrahim Traore got in, he did it right. And it wasn't, magic. Yes, it's magical. It is very, very
Black magic.
Hey, black power.
Yes, man. Yes.
So the fact that he actually he was connected to the lineage of Africa, as a whole, and we have powerful, ideologies. He was connected to the ideologies of Africa as a whole, and we have powerful ideologies. Nelson Mandela, are you kidding me? Like, people don't know why he's important. That's the thing. Like, he's very, 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 very special. And there are like so many. So many,
Yes.
like we are spoiled for choice. There's so many.
Yes.
So when you connect to ideology, you will know what to do. It will guide you. It will serve as a guiding aspect, a guiding element to guide your intentions, to guide your decisions. But you have to be willing to receive it.
Willing, man.
Thank you so much.
That's what we'll do with activism.
Thank you so much for this conversation. It has been quite a powerful and empowering conversation right here on the Vooka Breakfast Show. Dolphin Gbogbou Khena just dropped gems we all needed to hear today. The social revolution isn't coming. It's already here. And guess what? You're a part of it. So let this be your Monday motivation. Your voice matters. Your actions count. And your silence, it's expensive and it's a vote too. So choose wisely. Want to be part of the social revolution movement? Volunteer, mentor, organize, speak up, Mzansi and Vooka Nation. You know what? Tag us. Obviously, be part of the conversation by going back and sharing this conversation with somebody who needs to hear. And share it with your crew and tell a friend to tag a friend. And tell us in the comments, what change are you starting this week? Tag us using hashtag Vooka Social Revolution. And let's raise a generation of change makers. Because the future isn't something we inherit, it's something we shape.